I love my father's expression where he said, you can't talk your way out of a problem that you behaved your way into. And that's how it is. I got to restore trust. Words alone are necessary, but they're insufficient. I have to behave my way back into trust. So what would I do? I'd do these 4 behaviors. First, I would practice accountability. That means I got to own it. I got to take responsibility for it. Even if it's not me, it's still the organization, the company. I can say, look, we've behaved our way out of trust. We own this. We take responsibility for it. Because so often, people don't do that. And Scott, what they're doing instead, they're doing the blame game. They're pointing the fingers at everybody else. But it makes it hard to really restore trust with someone when you're saying, hey, I want to restore trust with you, but by the way, this really wasn't my fault. It's not my fault. People aren't quite sure. Do you get it? You got to say, I get it and I own it. So I practice accountability. Then I do number 4. As you pointed out, I right the wrong. I make it right when I'm wrong. And that might include an apology. It also does include making restitution. That's a legal concept to make whole. I make it whole. I make it right when I'm wrong as best I can and say, okay, I'm trying to right this wrong, but I realize I have to behave my way back into trust. It's not enough to just talk about it. That's helpful. The apology is helpful. Telling them I want to restore trust is helpful. But now I've got to clarify expectations going forward, tell them what I'm going to do to regain, to re-earn their trust through my behavior and why it matters to me. And then I got to keep the commitments. I got to do what I say I'm going to do. And I have to behave my way back into trust, just like I behaved my way out of trust. And I believe you can restore it. I don't think it's easy. And it may not be possible in every situation, but I've seen leaders, teams, and organizations do this. I'll give you one example where a leader came in and of a company about 2,000 people, and so small business, or medium-sized business, and he was the 4th owner in a 2-year period, and they kept going through CEOs and new owners coming in, and the cynicism was thick. They'd been to this movie and they kept getting new owners, new leaders coming in. No one believed a thing. So this guy comes in and he holds a town hall meeting in which he just listens and listens to people, and they come up with all these complaints. But you know what? People were saying, yeah, here we go again. I've heard all this. I've been to this movie. I don't like how it ends. But this leader listened first, and then he captured what he was hearing, and then he made a series of commitments. And as I recall, there was about 16 different commitments that he wrote down in this 2-hour town hall meeting of things he was going to do differently, better, more. Some he could do immediately, some would take some time. But then, so people walked out maybe with a little bit of hope that maybe this leader is going to try to rebuild the trust here. And it wasn't that the leader had done things. He inherited this low trust tax. But it was an inheritance tax, but it still was real. But he made these commitments. That generated some hope. 2 weeks later, he called another meeting, another town hall meeting. He said, I just want to report back on these 16 commitments. And he took them one by one. And he had really done in large part 13 of them. The other 3 were
his credibility
in
had been
process.
transformed, right?
His credibility was transformed, and suddenly people said, oh,
right, it's different.
Maybe this guy's serious. Maybe this is real. But what he was doing, he was behaving his way back into trust, just like you could behave your way out of it. Is this easy? No. Is it possible? In most situations, yes. How do you do it? Through your behavior. You can't talk your way out of a problem you behaved your way into, but you can behave your way out.